Hello Pisces, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Pisces is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. And if there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. All right. Now, this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Pisces, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And a Two of Wands, very strong, very decisive. This is very much a card about control, right? Let's figure out what this means, right? Let's put that into some context. Are we in control? Is someone else in control? Do we need to take back control? Do we need to give up a little bit of control? Let's find out what's going on. Moon energy. Interesting. Oh, an Empress. That's always a welcomed sight. And look at that. You have to excuse my voice today. My family and I are coming down with a little bit of a cold. Anyway, mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card, one random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. I think that one was the one. And we'll put it here. We'll put Mr. Ed right on top. Now, Pisces, we're not going to look at that card until the very end of the reading. It will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need. Okay? Now, if at any point during the reading you get an idea, a sense, a feeling of what that card is, please put your prediction in the comment section down below. Trying to see if we can collectively raise our vibrations, tap into spirit, tap into source, and start discerning this mystery card together as kind of a group exercise, right? And I do hope you'll play along with me. But first, let's see. We have major, four major arcana. We have some good fire energy here. We have the 9 and the 2. This is almost like, I wonder now, because we're going from a 9 all the way up, we're simplifying things to a 2, right? I wonder if we're really trying to like disentangle ourselves from something or someone, right? Let's just keep that in mind. We have some water energy, a little bit here with this Princess of Cups, or the Page of Cups, as I like to say. This is the fish in the percolator card. We have our air energy up here, which is not very complicated at all, right? And we've got our earth energy. So to me, with the 8 and the 5 of Pentacles, these two, I like to shake them like we're in an iPhone, you know. Because we have these two, I wonder if it's our sense of familiarity, of order, of stability, of not wanting to rock the boat. And then here, the boat's rocking, right? So I wonder if there's this issue of kind of not wanting to disturb the status quo, not wanting to really make waves, not wanting to disrupt the harmony that we have. But then there's also this desire to innovate, to go a different way, to shake things up, right? This is really, this is shaking things up. And especially with the major arcana that we have, which are kind of all clustered right around this area here. Okay. Well, let's start with the Two of Wands. I'm getting a feeling already that you are needing to take back control. Okay. I think that maybe we're waking up to the idea that we have we've almost, how to even put this? We've almost lost ourselves a little bit, you know? I think that we are emerging from a group, or from family, from friends, from the expectations of people around us, right? I almost feel like you're taking your will back. You're taking your identity back, okay? I think that for the sake of harmony, of rhythm, of stability, that you have relinquished a little bit of your control, a little bit of your identity. You know, I kind of wonder if you're feeling a little bit lost in the sea, right? Where it's just, you may be finding that you're kind of conforming to things a little bit more than you would like, you know. I think you're definitely someone that has big ideas. You have a big personality. You have a lot of strength, a lot of power. You have a lot of willpower, a lot of creativity. I feel, you see we got that moon. I feel as if we're losing sight of that a little bit. And maybe we're yielding ourselves to the environment a little bit too much. You know, allowing the collective will or the collective personality to just kind of blend us in to the rest of the, you know, like Bob Ross painting, right? Kind of blend the colors together. Well, then you don't really see the Pisces so much. It's just kind of blended in with the other hues and shadows and all this kind of stuff. I think you want to stand out a little bit more. So I feel as if we're trying to get back to this simple state of self-identity, self-consciousness, right? Not anxiety, but a real awareness of ourselves, right? And it may seem like it's a struggle because there's this moon energy that to me is kind of like a blanket of darkness that has just kind of settled over everything. You can see, you know, elevation, you can see some bumps under the blanket, right? But you can't really tell what everything is. It's just kind of all part of the landscape, you know. You've blended in with everything. And I don't think that's really a bad thing, necessarily. We see some benefits to that. With this Eight of Pentacles, obviously there is some stability, some order. There's kind of this feeling of going with the flow, being part of the group, not trying to make waves, not trying to rock the boat, not trying to disturb the collective harmony. But it is like there is this blanket of night that is covering up your identity, your will, your innovation, your personality, your spirit, right? And to me, that feels like a little bit of a restriction. And it feels like you've kind of put yourself into the background. You're kind of blending in, you know. There may have been a particular reason why we did that. Here is the Nine of Wands. This is in the, well, it's kind of in the background, right? It's behind everything. And this, I think, is your conscious personality then connecting with that moon, and here's that moon. So it's almost as if we are just, for the sake of, I think for the sake of getting along, right? For the sake of like, almost being anonymous, right? Kind of feel like there was a reason why we just thought we would just back up, and put our head down, blend in, be part of the group, right? And I think there was a need for that, like it was to, you know, establish some sort of a foundation, a basis of security, of community, some good reasons why, okay? But I think now we're starting to feel this will surging inside of us, this Two of Wands. We're starting to feel like, not angry, but motivated, right? Maybe a little frustrated. Where now we're trying to kind of, we're trying to wrestle to wake up again. Yeah. So I wonder if we have allowed the influence from others in our lives, family pressures, cultural pressures, our friend group, the community at work, or the larger community, the neighborhood, right? The status quo, the mainstream or something, to just seep in and is now influencing us. And so now we're kind of struggling to wake up and say, okay, what do I really want? What is it? Here we have an Ace of Swords. This is real simplicity. This is a real truth. This is you struggling, right? The Two of Wands is struggling to get out from underneath that moon energy, to get back to the truth of you. This is your individual personality, your individual soul. Yeah, we're all part of the same consciousness. We are all one. There is unity. But at the same time, you are an individual. And I think right now we're struggling to reconnect with our individuality. All right. Now, before we get too much further, this is a moon card. We have to do our divine doorway, because that moon is a doorway. Maybe this will give us an idea of how we got here, or will show us where the exit is. Yeah. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. Morning memory. It says morning memory. Its healing gift runs a destined course. The morning dawn, our inspired source. Meditate under the sun. Interesting. Maybe it was in our attempt to do just that, to become part of the community of consciousness, right? To merge with Source. And there's always the risk, or there's always, I don't know if it's a risk or if it's something that is just advocated in a lot of circles, this idea of losing your ego, losing your individuality, right? And I think when we have those kind of mystical, meditative experiences, you know, it is a temporary loss of individuality, right? But I think there are some that might try to sustain that too long, and they lose any sense of who they are, right? And they're just kind of lost in the ocean of consciousness. And I think that really just, that's kind of where we get the mob mentality, right? Where we lose our own kind of self-control, our own individual thinking, and it's just kind of, it's groupthink, right? So with this doorway, morning memory, its healing gift runs a destined course. The morning dawn, our inspired source. I think there's this idea of waking up now, you know, of waking up to, I mean, this card looks like a morning scene, right? To our inspired source. And I think this is the spirit, the soul that is within you. This is waking up to our strong sense. You got, really, excuse my voice, it's so bad today. Waking up, reawakening, let's say, to our individuality. Our strong sense of who we are and what we're all about. And maybe it is part of who we are and part of our destiny to re-merge with Source, with Spirit, with the universal consciousness. But in order to do that, I think we have to be staunchly individualistic to then have a self that can merge with the universal soul, right? And we don't have to look at it so mystically, of course. We can take this down to a very practical level. I think it's a struggle to realize that if the ideas you have, if the choices you make are your own, or are they influenced too heavily by the will of the group, whether that group is family, friends, society, the workplace, culture, past, whatever it is. Are your thoughts your own? Is your decision your own? Or is it too heavily influenced by something else? Now, we're going to look at this Empress in the future here. This is the natural world that we're trying to function within. Okay? And I feel with this Empress that this is, in some ways, you know, every card has light and shadow. So there may not be very many that agree with what I'm about to say. But this kind of, to me, represents that slumber, right? This is almost the world, society. This is almost, you know, the group energy kind of saying, come back, come back to sleep, right? It's okay. Nothing to see out there, right? Trying to bring you back into the fold. But you're trying to awaken. You're trying to get to your truth, your destiny, your sense of who you are, right? And you're trying to get to the very deepest part of yourself, the most true, most sincere, most authentic part of yourself. And then here is the natural world, your environment, your friends, family, culture, work, whatever, saying, no, just come back with us, you know. And I know that's not a very popular way of looking at the Empress card. Right? But the Empress is that energy that wants to take everything into itself. It doesn't reject anything. Right? Wants to bring you into the fold. Well, you're trying to separate. You're trying to be one. You're trying to get away from the many, I think, you know. And not in a way that you're running away from family or friends or trying to separate yourself from people. You're quitting your job or anything like that. You're not moving to the mountains. You're not going to become a monk. And maybe you will, you know. But it's the idea of knowing yourself again. And just coming to a realization of whether or not your desires, your thoughts, your will, your decisions, whether they're based on what you really want and feel, or if it is based on what the needs of the group are, what the desires of the group are. And maybe there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you are part of this group, and as a group you have to decide what is the will of the group. I mean, I think any group is like that. You think of a company, all the employees that work there, they kind of have to have the same objectives, right? We want this to be a successful business. That's why we work here. So my decisions are going to be based on that, right? If you start thinking for yourself, you're going to be at odds with the company, right? The business, management, particularly, probably HR. And I think that's what we've got here. It's not saying one is right and one is wrong, but you're trying to be aware of the distinction between the two. Okay, maybe this is happening at work. Maybe this is something with friends, right? Could be a lot of implications here, a lot of different scenarios where this is going to really be affected. All right, let's look at the path of the serpent. Now we see some really strong major arcana cards, which is, these are different than the Empress. The Empress is kind of accepting. It says, come to me, come to me. And these two say, I'm going to go my own way. Right? And even the moon energy, it's even the kind of new moon energy that is just kind of almost a black hole, just sucks everything into it. Right? So these two are very, very different than these two. And what we see here with this Princess of Cups, this is the Fish in the Percolator, the Page of Cups. This is the, this is, I kind of liken this to The Matrix. Maybe you've heard me talk about this before, but I think The Matrix is a very deep series of movies, right? I wonder if they're based on books. Does anybody know? I would love to read those books if they were. The idea that Neo is trying to, well, he's just going about his life, right? He's just running the program that he's been programmed to do, living his life. And he gets a call from Morpheus, right? And then he starts to notice things are not what they seem. And I think that's what the Fish in the Percolator is. Something out of place, a glitch in the Matrix, if you will. And I think it's these kinds of perceptions, these kind of strange, uncanny events, the sense of novelty, the sense of something just seems like it's kind of glimmering or shining, you know, almost like in a video game. You know which wall you have to break down because it looks different than the rest of the wall. It feels like that. And it feels like you're noticing this more and more, where you're thinking something's not right. That this base reality that I'm in is changing. Something is showing me that there's a way to get out of that, right? That there's some sort of perception beyond what we experience to be base reality. And this is through the uncanny, the glitch in the matrix, the novelty, the synchronicity. The things that are there but shouldn't be there. Something you think you see, and then when you turn, it's gone. Right. And I think you've been noticing that more and more. I think that's meant to be a wake-up call. And now the next card we see is this luster strength card. Well, this is someone who's reaching through that false wall and really tapping into a higher level of reality. A deeper sense of the universe, right? And this is in the environment. This is the timing. This is your relationship with the environment. I think it's urgently time for you to see yourself as being distinct from the group that you're in. Okay? I think your sense of individuality is spreading a little bit thin, being perhaps covered. It's what a psychologist might call a diffuse ego boundary. Right? We need to take that ego back. And it's not just your petty ego, right? That just is disagreeing with things, that wants something in the morning, wants something different at night, etc. No, this is like a super ego, right? This is the master ego. This is the magical ego that says, I am a self that is distinct from the other selves of the universe. You know, it's kind of like cells of our body, right? They're all individual units. They all work together. They all compose one larger entity, right? Us, the physical world, or whatever. We are all like cells in the body of the universe. Okay? We're distinct. We have our own identity. We have our own being. But we are a network. We have cooperation. We have to work together, right, for the greater good. And this, again, it's kind of, it really is like the movie The Matrix, right? Waking up to this idea that we are all unique and individual, but yet we are also a unity, okay? And this card, I think, is about the courage it takes to wake up. The courage that it takes to demand that you see yourself as separate, at least for now, at least for the purposes of realizing your selfhood. And then, of course, we can re-merge with the collective or whatever is your kind of mystical or spiritual goal. But if this is taking place in a friend group, or even in the workplace too, I can see it being, well, I can see it being very work-related because of the nature of the earth cards, right? The discs or pentacles that we have. It seems to me like we're looking for a new strategy for life, that we have our own creativity to explore, our own individuality. You have your own ideas, right? With this ace. And with the art or temperance card, this is the challenge. This is the real challenge, the real obstacle. How do you balance your need for individuality with your need for being part of the group, part of the collective? You're not trying to isolate yourself or insulate yourself. You're not trying to air gap yourself from the rest of consciousness. But at the same time, you want to be you. You want to express yourself. You want to manifest your creativity. You want to explore your ideas. So how do we balance that? Well, that's the issue. That's why I think this is really the challenge, how to balance it. And that's why the last card is this Five of Pentacles, because it's going to shake things up. You're going to annoy HR or the bosses or management or whoever's upstairs. Because it's like, oh, okay, we've got another one trying to wake up, right? And so this, you know, it might mean that we're re-exploring where we are in life, what we're doing, who we're doing it with. You know, maybe it's time to consider a job change, a career change. Or maybe it's time to consider doing things that do separate you from that group, right? So focus on hobbies, focus on your own kind of personal creativity. Do things away from your spouse, do things away from your friend group. Do things, focus on things away from work, right? Or maybe while you're at work, focus on doing something that kind of brings you out of the background, right? Take the initiative, do something new, do something different, innovate, right? Go above and beyond. I think there's a need for recognition, but it's not so much from outside that we want that. We want to see ourselves again, right? You want to experience consciousness, being awake, being alive, right? And so I think it's gonna require some kind of change, some kind of movement in the environment. Now this is either you going a different way, starting some new projects or hobbies or interests that are uniquely yours, doing the meditative work to really separate your feelings and thoughts from the thoughts and feelings of the group. But also perhaps a strategy for getting that recognition at work, for doing something that's kind of above and beyond, for innovating, for coming up with a really great idea or some kind of new innovation or a new project or something like that. Okay, there has to be some practical changes here. It's not just a meditative exercise. It's got to have some mechanical component to it, you know. Very interesting reading. Let's look at the mystery card now. I'm wondering how that's going to confirm all of this. Thank you, Mr. Ed. Okay, this is the point of the reading. And gosh, Pisces, we always have these kind of strange readings together, don't we? They always have a bit of a mystical or magical kind of aspect to them. And that's not by design. It just seems like you, in particular, the Pisces energy is just one that is really dealing with these kind of fundamental existential things, maybe because you're the last sign of the zodiac, right? But I feel like it's always about these really deep identity things, divine missions, the real idea of selfhood, the real idea of unity. See, look, we were just looking at the Ace of Swords. This is selfhood, right? This is your consciousness being the crown of the self. This is you as an individual. But this is also a card that says unity. It says we are all one, right? We are all one, but we're also all one of many. It's the paradox, right? Well, let's figure out this mystery card. I have no real idea what this is. I think maybe an Ace of Cups. That's going to be my guess. I don't really have a reason why, but I kind of feel it. I feel like that's, you know, again, it's the idea of individuality, but also unity. We are one, but we are also one of many. Let's see. Oh, I'm way off. It's a Seven of Swords. This is the intellectual wrestling with this issue. You know, this is kind of a card that says, are you one or are you many? And it's the mind saying, how can you be both? Right? This is us trying to figure out the solution to the paradox using our minds. Well, it's not. It's like one of those Zen koans. You can't use logic to figure it out. That's the point of them. That's the point of a paradox. It's a logical trap. It's not meant to be solved logically. So I think that this is, again, it's the idea that we had at the very beginning of going from complexity to simplicity, right? And the simplicity here is the idea of one versus the many. I'm trying to wake up. I'm trying to wrestle with and overcome this slumber. And so now even with the swords, we have a similar idea. From the complexity of trying to think about this to then just being pure awareness, pure consciousness. not trying to sort it out intellectually. And to me, I understand that because this reading feels like it's kind of a jumble. It's an intellectual jumble. I don't know what I'm really saying, you know? It's kind of a feeling. It's an intuition that I'm trying to put into words, and to me it just sounds like a lot of, blabbering. It sounds like a lot of nonsense, But I think you understand. And I think that's what makes the Pisces energy so special. That's what makes this time that we spend together so special. We could sit here in silence and I could just show you the cards one by one without saying a word, and I think you'll understand what I mean. Yeah. We're going to do an extended, though, to see if we can sort it out a little bit further. If you want to stick around for the extended, click on the link in the corner. That'll give you access to every extended reading, not just for Pisces, but for every sign. You can cross-watch. You can check your other placements. Yeah. I want you to know, Pisces, that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you, and I love you, and we are all in this together.